Hello everybody, Dr. B here. Going to do an overview video for chapter 1. It looks like 3 of you have hopped in already, which is great. I'm going to share my screen here so we can look at some of the book. Go over some of the highlights for chapter 1. Also want to go over some of the things that might show up on the quiz. So here we got part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, part 5, part 6. Chapter 1, 2 is what we're going to be looking at this first week. And in this video, I'm just going to do chapter 1. So here we go. Chapter 1 is music in ancient Greece and early Christian Rome. I just got back from Rome, and I've got some cool things to show and share with you. Several of you mentioned in your introduction video that you wanted to learn more about where music came from, how music began, that kind of thing. So we will definitely hop into that. We have 3 learning objectives, which I've included for you for each chapter on Canvas. Learning objective number 1 is to describe in general terms ancient Greek music and ideas about music and the musical life of ancient Greece and Rome. Learning objective 2 is to explain why the ancient Greeks linked music to numbers, astronomy, and poetry, and how they thought it affected a person's character and behavior. And learning objective 3 is to name some aspects of the liturgy and music of the Western Christian Church that parallel or derive from Jewish and Byzantine practices. So as you read chapter 1, keep those learning objectives in mind. So here's just kind of an overview. Western culture has roots in the ancient Near East, Greece, and Rome. Although little music has survived from this time, ancient writings about music, particularly music theory, had a strong influence on later centuries. Ancient Greece is the earliest civilization that offers enough evidence to construct a well-rounded view of musical life, which included instruments, images, writings about music, and music itself. The most important instruments were the aulos, lyre, and kitara. About 45 pieces or fragments of pieces remain from ancient Greece. And that's all that survives in notation, mostly from relatively late periods. They conform closely to the precepts of the theorists. Pictures and writings suggest that Greeks generally performed from memory or improvised rather than reading from notation. In your textbook, I cannot get to my button. There it is. You will see in figure 1.1 an epitaph, which has a drinking song on it. And it gives the pitch and rhythmic notation. This is the epitaph of Psychelos, and we will be listening to this piece. But also we get pictures of the ancient Greece instruments on vases. So this one's in the Metropolitan Museum of Art. I have some other pictures of some from Germany in their great museum in Berlin. But this is how we're getting information from early music history. Not from the music itself, but from pictures of musicians. All right. In philosophical and theoretical writings about music, the Greek achieved insights and formulated principles that have survived to this day, including the association of music with poetry. Greeks also believed that music could influence behavior and character, a quality that was called ethos. Based on this belief, both Plato and Aristotle gave music a central role in education. Man, what would it be like? Numerous theoretical ideas from the Greeks were influenced on Western music, including the association of musical rhythm to poetic patterns with longer and shorter syllables, the concepts of note, interval, and scale, and the fundamental importance of the octave and its subdivision. Greek theorists, most notably Pythagoras, discovered the relationship of pitch to mathematical ratios and influential philosophies linked music to an ordered world and to astronomy. From ancient Rome, we have instruments, images, and written descriptions of music, but no music. The Romans adopted many aspects of Greek musical culture, including religious and ceremonial music, music in private entertainment, and public festivals and competitions. Many aspects of Western music first developed within the Christian church, the dominant social institution in the Middle Ages. Early church leaders opposed music for pleasure and the use of musical instruments. Hence, music in the early church was primarily sung without accompaniment. Church musicians looked to music theory and philosophy from ancient Greece. Martianus Capella, early 5th century, helped to codify the 7 liberal arts, which include harmonics or music. Boethius treated music as a science of numbers in his De Institutio Musica, which translates to the fundamentals of music. He described 3 types of music. Musica mundana, which translates to music of the universe, is the numerical relations that control the natural world. Musica humana, or human music, which controls the human body and soul. And musica instrumentalis, audible music produced by voices or instruments. He believed in music education for the young, not as a practical activity, but rather as an object of knowledge. Christianity sprung from Jewish roots, and some elements of Christian observances derive from Jewish traditions, chiefly the chanting of Scripture and the singing of psalms, poems, and praise from the Old Testament book of Psalms. As the early church spread from Jerusalem to Asia Minor, North Africa, and Europe, it absorbed other musical influences. The Eastern Church centered in Constantinople and used Greek. The Western Church was centered in Rome and used Latin and was led by the Pope. Each branch of Christianity created its own rite, consisting of a church calendar, a liturgy, and a repertoire of chant. Byzantine chant was classed into 8 modes, which served as a model for the 8 modes of Western Church. Hymns were the most characteristic Byzantine chant. Gaul, approximately the same area as modern France, had the Gallican chant. Southern Italy, the Beneventine. Rome, the Old Roman chant. Spain, the Visigothic, or Mozarabic, and the area around Milan, the Ambrosian. Eventually, most of the local versions either disappeared or were absorbed into the single uniform practice under the central authority of the Roman Catholic Church, thereby creating a central repertoire called Gregorian chant. So that's kind of an overview of chapter 1. A couple things I want to highlight specifically from the textbook, other than the pictures that we've already looked at. Definitely you want to read more on page 18. Come on, little mouse. About ethos, however you'd like to pronounce it. Aristotle talking about imitation, the theory of imitation. And music, he writes, in Politics around 330 BCE, imitates, that is, represents the passions or states of the soul, such as gentleness, anger, courage, temperance, and their opposites. I will put in the files section a interesting study about mice and music. It was done a few years ago. They would expose mice to music, classical music and hard rock music. And one was very scientific, and another one was done by a kid in high school, but they found that the brain tissue is totally different in the mice, And the one that was done by the kid in high school said he would have liked to have completed his experiment, but the mice that listened to hard rock music killed each other. So I'll throw that in the files section. I just find it kind of interesting. But yeah, go ahead and read chapter 1. And there's a couple assignments that are in Canvas for you to do. Now, some of you, I don't know all your backgrounds yet because I haven't watched your videos. I'm still waiting for you to make your videos, but those that have made them so far I've seen. But I'm worried that some of this might be a little challenging for those that haven't taken a lot of music theory. So I wanted to address some concepts that come up in chapter 1's quiz. So in chapter 1's quiz, there are some questions on intervals. Intervals are just the distance between two notes. So quiz number 1 has 25 questions, and it's all about ancient Greece and Rome and the Christian church. And so be prepared for that. Okay, things I would know about for the quiz. Know about the aspects of Greek music life and Greek music tradition. Know about the philosophers and their beliefs on music. Know about Greek discipline of harmonics and tetrachords and modes. Know about Roman music, where it came from. Know about St. Augustine. Know about Boethius. And know that the Christian music came from Judaism. And know about the Western and the Eastern Church, where they were and what languages they used. And know about chant and the different chant dialects. So hopefully that'll help you for the quiz for chapter 1. Okay, so this is looking at week 1, chapters 1 and 2 from the student view. So this is what you should see. Part 1, chapter 1, there's a link to the ebook. There's a link to the playlist. If I click on that, it allows you to click on that button and it will load the playlist. And this is the Epitaph of Psycholos. You can just listen to it, or you can open the audio timeline. I suggest opening the audio timeline, though this example isn't very detailed. Future ones are a lot more detailed, and they'll give you little boxes of what's going on. So you'll definitely want to do that. You'll definitely want to do your listening, because each part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, part 5, part 6, will have an exam, and a portion of each exam will be a listening exam. And we will be hearing little snippets of the music that we've been listening to the whole chapter, and you will have to identify things just from listening. So make sure you do your listening homework. I will post the listening list in the files section and give an announcement when that has been uploaded. But we are not going to listen to every single song that is in this playlist. I've selected 2 to 3 selections per each chapter, so we're not totally overwhelmed. Okay, there's also a chapter 1 outline, and I'm going to put that in for each chapter. Kind of some notes about everything that we were talking about in the reading. And then there's a quiz for each chapter for the reading and a listening quiz. I put a link for the flashcards as well. For the listening quiz, there are a few things that are going to be asked about the first song, the Epitaph of Psycholos, that we've listened to. But there's some things that I want to make sure that you know, because some of them are very detailed. So, for instance, it asks about how wide the interval is for the opening phrase. And it asks about the interval for the ending of each phrase. So I want you to know that we've got a range of about an octave for this piece, and there's a interval of a third, a major third. All right, so hopefully that's enough to get you through chapter 1. I'm going to record another video like this for chapter 2 shortly. Let me know if you have questions. Please don't be hesitant to contact me or write something up in the discussion chat boards. Thanks.